Okay, so bit of a short, sharp start with a few questions. And so, who are you, and what's the business called?
Hello, Sam. I am Yesim, founder of Skynet Accounting, and my focus is totally about driving manufacturing profit.
Brilliant. Whereabouts are you based?
I am based in Hampshire,
Okay.
the UK.
And your clients are all over the country or
Yes,
relatively local? Yeah.
yes, UK based.
Okay. One piece of advice you'd give to someone starting out today, so that can either be kind of startup business advice or
Mhm.
a piece of accounting advice or something that you think people would find useful taken from this.
Yes. So if you are in manufacturing space, I would say know your true cost of making your products. I'm not talking about estimation or averaging, a quick calculation here. I'm talking about the actual cost, which directly impacts on the pricing, profit making, business cash flow. I would say almost every commercial decisions you make.
Brilliant. This would be interesting asking someone with a accounting specialty. Do you have a tool or resource or piece of software that you couldn't live without if I took it away from you?
I'm actually fine with any software tools or anything like that, but obviously I am a chartered accountant and I have to keep up to date with the UK accounting standards and tax legislation, so this is something I have to do regularly.
Yeah, thought that might be your answer. um, what do you enjoy doing outside of work?
I do a lot of walking, I would say nearly every day. I have a rescue dog and we just walk together. And I also like writing. I published my first book back in January 26. It is called How to Unlock Cash to Fuel Manufacturing Success, available on Amazon as well. It took me a lot of time and dedication, but I've done it in the end. And now I'm considering to start a second book. Just a consideration now.
Interesting. Um, do you have a routine that starts your day? So is there something that you do to get going in the morning?
Yes, I do. And when I get up in the morning, I have a routine that I do meditation every morning, 20 minutes to 30 minutes at least. It just keeps me stay focused and energized during the day so I can bring my best thinking to the day ahead, really.
Brilliant.
That's my routine.
Nice. Um, I think I know your answer to this one. Dogs or cats? Dogs or
Sorry,
cats?
I couldn't.
Sorry, go again. So dogs or cats?
Oh, I've got a dog. Yes,
Thought
it's
you
a
might
dog.
say that.
I used to have a cat
Um,
as well, but
okay.
he passed away. So I had a dog in the end.
Tea or coffee?
Both.
Ooh. If you had to choose one,
I would choose both. I have coffee and tea
both
as well.
together. Summer or winter?
Summer definitely.
Okay. Right, so we'll do I just add those in just as a bit of a clip that I want to put together for ConeX
Okay.
at some point. I've asked everyone those sorts of questions, so it should be an interesting uh, video. So let's dive into the delivery, I guess, of the business itself then. So what's your overview? What's your elevator pitch? How do you explain what it is that you do when you're talking to new people?
So my business is all about driving manufacturing profits because I spent over 20 years in the industry and I've seen the same challenges with nearly every businesses I work with. For example, manufacturers have an expectation of the margins, let's say it's 30%, and then they receive their reports and it's showing at 20%, and then they start questioning where did the other 10% go. Factory has been busy, revenue has been growing, they've been winning new orders, but somehow the profit is not following, cash remains under pressure, and nobody can clearly explain why and what's driving those numbers. So, in my experience, the biggest problem has been the lack of visibility of the true cost of manufacturing each product. There are so many costs go unnoticed during the production journey that impacts on the end result. So what I do is I help leaders to understand what's really driving their profit, which products are making money, which products are losing money, and how we can improve this going forward. So my aim is to help them get the best possible return from the investment they've made in their business already.
Brilliant. What would you say is the number one factor that people often miss when it comes to this expected profit to actual realistic profit being completely different? What's the number one thing that is often the cause?
The number one thing is that product costing and the way the pricing has been put together and how it's been calculated, the assumptions have been put together, it just doesn't follow what's really happening in the factory floor. Because there is a journey a product goes through, each stage of that production journey, and there's a cost attached to it at every step, every stage. There is a cost, and it's not being captured. And even sometimes, I mean, I worked with businesses in the past that they had the costing system in place, they had an integrated ERP system, but the assumptions behind the costing wasn't correct either. And it's just giving the wrong information to people. And then they get just disappointed results at the end, and they can't explain why it's happening.
Interesting. I mean, I'm not surprised by it at all. It is, it's definitely interesting to hear it from your side. So what, how did you kind of start in this world? What's your kind of background, your experience? How did you get into this manufacturing side of things?
So I was only 15 when I started as an apprentice at a paint manufacturer. And then later on I moved on to Ford car manufacturing, and it just completely changed how I looked at manufacturing altogether. But even then, I had a question in my mind that how does this massive operation actually connected with the financial performance? How is it captured and who's capturing it? And how is it measured? How is it monitored? How is it converted into cash? And I couldn't get an answer from anybody at the time. And then I spent more than 20 years working across manufacturing sector, and I noticed that many manufacturers have the same problem. Problem is they couldn't clearly say what was happening on the factory floor, that how it was affecting financially, and they didn't know true cost of making each products. They didn't have a product costing structure in place, and some manufacturers did, but they were well out of date, and it just wasn't reflecting what was happening in the factory floor at all. So when I started my own accountancy practice, I knew I had to focus on that gap, because this is where manufacturers lose money, and this is a business critical area for any type of manufacturing businesses.
That was, you've touched on my next question actually. So
Okay.
how, I mean, obviously it changes for every business and everyone I assume that you talk to, but how often should this be looked at? How often should companies be reviewing their costing structure? Because it's all, they can get to the end of the year and actually realize that their profits are not what they expected.
Yeah.
and then they may sit down there and then and have a little bit of a review. Is that enough, or does it have to be a regular thing that needs to be added into their process?
I would say, depending on the fluctuations and the complexity involved in the production process, and at the same time, it really starts from having the decent foundation in place in the first place, because I've seen it all many times that the actual costing foundation wasn't actually put in place correctly. The assumptions, usually a quick calculation and averaging estimation involved, and again it didn't reflect the true operation that each product actually has gone through. So you need to have that foundation in place first of all, and also you need to update regularly and you need to check it. But again, it depending on the fluctuations. I would say minimum once a year. If you could do it at least twice a year, that would be perfect even. And I would say just don't leave it really. And
Because it's so important, because it drives the
yes,
business. If you don't
it
know what
does.
your true cost is, and you don't know what your true profit
Everything,
is,
yes.
you're making investments in the business which you can't actually afford in some instances, which
And
doesn't
everybody
help.
has an idea. Everybody has an idea because there is no sporting data behind it. And you have this assumption of I've got materials there, I've got labor costs there, I've got some overheads as well. I can see in my P&L report, this is it. No, it's not. Product doesn't just only consume materials and labor, and it consumes a lot more than that. And if you think about this, if I just explain as an example, so um, when the sales order is received, there is somebody preparing the materials, takes it through to each machine. There is a programmer, there is a person preparing it, and then product goes through machine one, machine two, machine three. And then at the end of that cycle, this is just an example by the way, and then the labor assembly starts, and the labor assembly 1, labor assembly 3, labor assembly 4, and it goes on. In the end it gets into inspection quality, and the product requires rework and they start again, or it passes the quality and the testing happens, and then packaging gets involved, and then shipping gets involved. Can you see the journey a product actually is going through? So it's not only about materials and labor, there is a lot more involved. So if I just also explain a little bit more about the business model, I think many people don't actually realize this. In the manufacturing business model, manufacturers invest significant amount of money into machines, people, technology, inventory stock, and factory space, and all other supporting resources that cost money to the business every single day, regardless of what's manufactured. So, if this is the way it is, the most important question is here now: how effectively, how quickly, and efficiently a business can convert that investment into profit making product, cash generation, and the business growth. So, this is the area I focus on because many businesses are not able to see where the profit is actually lost, and at the same time where the cash is actually trapped in the business. So this is really two critical area, and that this is my focus is totally based on.
I got so many questions. Um,
Oh god.
is I don't know how to word this question, because just hearing you talk, and
Yeah.
obviously knowing lots of manufacturing companies and lots of organizations that we work with,
Mm-hmm.
there must always be something you can do. I know marketing is a challenge for anyone in
Mhm.
business and anyone trying to have conversations and support what it is that they're growing, and I understand that. But surely most manufacturers that you talk to need your support
They do.
because
And
they,
they come to me with very specific questions, very specific problems. Is mainly cash flow is tight,
yeah.
business is not growing, margins are getting tight. What can we do? And these are specific questions, and so I go a lot more deeper. What's really happening there, and how can we find a solution that business actually improves financially, as well as focus on the business growth as well. So it's again takes you back to which products are making us money, which products are we are losing money, and also how we can improve this going forward, how we can release that cash out of that business. So there are steps, there are stages, and every stage, every area I actually look into and I investigate it. There is a quite deep analysis involved there.
And this opens up the whole working on your business versus
Yeah,
working in your business argument. And there are a lot of manufacturing organizations out there
yeah.
who are struggling,
Mm-hmm.
not because they don't have a great business, not because they've got capacity and they're growing and
Yeah.
they're building what they're doing, but because they are almost too busy, and the
Mm-hmm.
the directors and the owners and founders and whoever it is dragged onto the or dragged into the day to day. So there
Yes.
is so much product they have to get in to then get out to customers that they're so almost bogged down with those
Mm-hmm.
processes and making sure the business runs effectively, that
Yes.
they don't necessarily have the time or resource to step back and work on the business, when in fact, if they could spare some time to look at the working on the business, they could engage with someone like yourself, look at that entire process, look
Yes.
at where they could actually squeeze some extra cash and extra profit out of the process so they don't have to get involved in the process, and
Yes.
then that frees up cash to reinvest or hire someone or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my one of my biggest worries around the whole manufacturing sector is
Yes.
we're
Yes.
so in the business and just trying to grow and support that we don't spend enough time from the outside looking in. And that's where
And
people like yourself come in.
it's all about efficiency and productivity. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yep.
And efficiency and productivity, they are totally impact on the profit and cash flow. So just based on my experience, I'm just talking about my experience, that what I've done, what I do, how I manage all this, and this is nothing to do with someone else's theory or some academic book as such. It's totally about what I've done. And in the manufacturing business model, there are four critical areas, four, and it directly impacts on the profit and the cash generation of that business. And first one is product costing, second one is production efficiencies, third one is the production planning, and the fourth one is the pricing. So product costing means that every product should have its own costing structure. And if the costing foundation is wrong, every decision you make becomes wrong. And the key point is here, establish the true cost of each product based on that production journey. And then, because everything starts at that point. And production efficiency is also about, so once we know our true cost of that product, the second question is what really happened during that process from receiving that order through shipping that product that we didn't actually incur additional cost during that production. For example, did we have any machine breakdown? How was the scrub rate was like? How was the recheck rework was like? Did we have a long setup time? Was there any waiting time between the each stage? And these are usually called the hidden cost, but it increases the cost of production straight away. Individually, it may be seen as small, but collectively, when they all get together, it really reduces the margin every day. And it is a cost can be controlled. You can control that easily. And the third area is the production planning. And as a factory, they have all those resources in place. They have the machine, they have the skilled labor, but as soon as they have that poor planning, it just destroys entire productivity. I work with businesses, they were operating make to order, scheduling production based on meeting delivery dates. They kept the customers happy, but they created unnecessary steps, unnecessary setups, and changeovers. So every time a machine stops to prepare for the next job, there is a valuable labor hour and machine time is lost. So as a result, you lose on the productivity and it increases the cost of manufacturing. And the fourth area is the pricing, because once you understand your true cost, how we operate, how efficient we are, how we schedule our production, and we do planning. So we use every capacity and we utilize our investment, utilize our assets, so that the pricing can be set confidently. Owners can play with the pricing as they wish, because they're not going to be going to a market, every market with the same pricing. And so at least they will know exactly what margins they would achieve with the decision they make. So it's again all about making sure a business generates the best possible return from the investment they have in their business.
Mm.
I hope I explained it well.
Perfectly. I mean, you've given everyone a brilliant set of tips to look at. And I think what people don't necessarily realize, it is that true product cost and then how that runs down to the pricing that's so important. Because
Yes.
again, going back to that on versus in the business, if you're just working in the business and you suddenly see that, I don't know, the big three things over the last few years that have, what I've seen that have impacted businesses from a profit point of view, is the labor
Yeah.
costs going up, energy costs going up, and in some instances tariffs being added to
Yes.
certain materials and processes.
Yes.
And if you're so in the business, you're just seeing that as money that you've just got to spend. So it just comes in as a big bill at the end, and then you just spend it. You don't relate it back to your products. You don't relate it back to the process. You just see it as a lump bill, pay it, move on to the next year, and carry on. Whereas if you actually sat down right at the start of that process and actually started applying some of these costs individually to the products and the services that you offer, you could then actually get a much better overview, which I assume, based on what you're saying, would improve efficiency and productivity off the back of that, because it is just, you're painting a much clearer picture.
Yes, yes, true. And how the cash is moving between each operation. Because every business I work with, they had a cash gap in their business. And it's very common in a manufacturing business as well, because we buy the materials, we get 30 days terms from our suppliers. By the time we actually use the materials in the production, we already paid the supplier within 30 days. And then let's say it's a make the order, and it will take 4 weeks to 7 weeks, something like that, to produce the product, again depending on the complexity of that process. And there's another 2 months lost. And by the time we give credit terms to our customers, let's say 30 days to 60 days, there's another 2 months gone. So effectively the cash flow is affected by at least 5 to 6 months straight away. And during that process also, How long does it take? How long does it take to actually move that product from each stage to the next stage? Also count as the cash where it is trapped, because there could be a queue in one of the process where the other process may be flowing really easily, but it gets stuck at a second process, and this is where the cash is trapped. So how quickly you can get that product out of that factory, ship it out, and get your money back from your customers. So this is all about this profit, cash, and that's what I focus: improving profit and cash generation. And every business is different, because every business have got their own unique products and operation. So it may work in a different way.
I don't think people necessarily grasp. Again, no fault of their own. I understand what it's like to run these businesses and how busy they are, but I don't think that people necessarily grasp how much
Mhm.
cash, how much profit, how much opportunity they could unlock
Yes,
by
it's
having a
not
look at
clear.
some of these things over a relatively short period of time. It's as long as you've got the data, it's effectively just manipulating data. If you've got the data and you've got the values and you've got the figures, you can manipulate, not manipulate, I guess is probably the
But
wrong
use
word.
the data. Use the
Review
data.
the data that you've already
Yeah.
got and you're just gathering on a daily basis
Mm.
to actually identify some of these cash gaps and issues in productivity and whatever it may be, to actually read that data in a better way that supports the business.
It's just knowing, really, having the
Mm.
data and knowing your business inside out,
Yeah.
inside out. And in a month, a manufacturer can actually produce hundreds of different product types. So which one is actually our bread and butter product? Which ones are really giving us the highest return? And where do
Yeah.
we actually lose money during that process? Which product should we take it to a different market, which we think we could make a really healthy margin?
Mm.
Or do we need to play with our pricing? How much margin would we make if we actually reduce or give discount away? And if you don't know that costing, then you're just gonna guess. It's gonna be a
Mm.
gamble, and in the end, either becomes a loss making or losing out, losing money. In the end, it always hits the cash flow anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why.
I'd argue it should be more than once a year or maybe twice a year.
Mm,
I'd say it should be a quarterly review
yeah.
of profits and cash and product, and like you said, which
Mm,
products are actually making the business the most money and the most profit, which ones are losing, why are they losing, therefore if they're losing, why are we
yeah.
offering them as a service, can we convert people into other products.
Mm,
And
yes.
it's that whole, being afraid, not being afraid to let go of certain products
Mm,
and even clients and customers if it means the business is going to grow and thrive off the back of that. And people are often quite scared to be like, well, I don't want to get rid of this part or this product or this service, or I don't
mm.
want to increase prices because I'll lose X number of customers. But
Oh, I'm sure they will. True.
and which
Yes,
is
I
which is
believe them.
true, but
Yeah.
at the same time, if you then focus on the profitable part of the business, that's
Yes.
then going to allow you to scale and reinvest and grow, and that's going to be the bit that actually makes the difference, rather than
Yeah.
stressing
Yeah.
around. It's just that knowledge. It's knowing if you're spending all of your time on worry and
Mm,
anxiety and stress in one part of the business which is not profitable, it means you're almost forgetting about the part of the business
yes.
that is profitable, and that should be where your attention is drawn.
Yes.
It's just mapping that and making sure. In some instances, it's probably just a case of validating that you're
Mm,
looking at the right part of the business.
yes. And what do we really trying to achieve? What is the expectation? What is the business owners would like to achieve? That's the biggest question, really. because challenges everywhere and problems are everywhere. But again, it starts from what do we know about our business? How do we do things? How do we produce things? What is the process? Where do we lose money? Where do we make money? What is our key products? What is our branded money making products? And if we are making money on those products, then why don't we focus on those products first?
Exactly.
It's got a high volume, it's got high profit return. So why do we spend our time and capacity on the loss-making products? What are we achieving? What is our purpose with those loss-making products that we focus and we utilize capacity for? So you just need to really change the way of thinking and ask the key questions here. I've got 100 valuable questions in my book, and you can straight away start evaluating your business by asking those questions, having a discussions with your team straight away. So this is very important because we don't also ask the right questions because we always looked at that way, and we need to widen the way we look at things if you want to achieve something and we have a purpose here. So
Perfect.
it's very important.
So, what do people need to search for on Amazon to find your book?
Oh, yes, sorry. It's called How to Unlock Cash to Fuel Manufacturing Success. It's available on Amazon.
Okay.
I
I'll
am
share that link.
also planning to do live webinars in the near future. I'm going to talk about how to drive manufacturing profit and how to get that cash out from the business. And I've got the feeling it's going to be really useful webinar. I'm expecting people to take lots of notes and take action the next day. So it would be great if people joins as well
Yeah.
when it goes out.
As soon as you've got the links for that, let me know, and I'll make
Yes,
sure
I
it's
will
shared.
do. I will do.
So just before we close up, then, so give us a that kind of elevator pitch again. Let us know what it is that you do, how you can support businesses.
Everything I do is focused on improving profits and cash generation in any type of manufacturing businesses, engineering and industrial businesses I work with that have multi-stage production process environment in place. And I mean, for some businesses, that means having a strong financial management in place or having improving the cash flow. For others, it's about building product costing foundation and implementing an ERP system where I put the numbers in their ERP system, so on, so they have the permanent solution on the visibility as such. And obviously, I'm an accountancy practice. I also provide all core accountancy services, you name it, I do all. So yeah, so it's an accountancy practice, totally working with manufacturers, engineers, industrial businesses, and my focus is profit and cash. It's all about profit and cash.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. What's the best way for people to find you or get in touch? Obviously, we'll share links with the videos that we put out. But what would you say is the easiest way for yourself?
I am on LinkedIn. I am on Google. I have a website called skynetaccounting.co.uk. I'm also on Amazon now. I'll put the book on Amazon. So, yeah, I mean, I'm available and findable. It turns out that I am the only Yesim Tilley in the UK. So, as soon as you type my name, I will
Yeah,
just appear. And yeah, so easy to find.
brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.